Well, it took a few videos to get all of our routing set up and have our classifieds and new classifieds route refactored. And we've still got to put a route in place to edit our classifieds. But now that we know all of the different steps involved, let's just tackle it all in a single video. Alright, so if you remember back a few videos ago, we put in the files for our editing controller and our editing template. So now that we've got everything in our new controller and new template, we can really just copy a lot of this. So let's grab everything from our new classifieds controller. We'll just select everything and copy it over here to our editing controller. And let's just firstly give this a new name. It's going to be edit classifieds controller. So edit classifieds controller there. And we're going to use some of these same functions. We'll come back to this in a second though. The other thing we'll do is grab everything from our new template and let's copy that over to our edit template. Alright, so let's save that. And the reason that we're just copying things is because we still want this sidebar to show up whenever we click Edit Classified. If you remember over here, what happens is when we click Edit, we get our sidebar showing up. Right now, the way that this is wired up, we don't actually have any editing capability, but we're going to fix that now. Alright, so then of course over here we'll want to open up our index.html and we want to copy this script tag here down to the next line, and this is going to be for editing. So we'll say we want to change that there and that there to be edit. Alright, let's save that and we can close it out. And of course we'll need to set up a new route. So over here in our app.js, let's just copy all of this here. We're going to make a similar route down below. So we'll paste it in. So this one's going to be our edit classifieds route. So we'll just change this out here for edit everywhere that we see new. So that will be edit there. And this will be our edit classifieds controller for this route. Alright, so what we'll want to do now is in our controller for our classifieds, so our main classifieds controller, we will want to change up this edit classified function to take us to the edit classified route. So what we can do immediately is just get rid of all of this stuff that we already have in there. And let's use our state go function and we'll say we want to go to classifieds.edit. Alright, so let's see if this works out now. Back over in Chrome, if we refresh and we go to admin edit, you can see there that we are directed to the edit route. And just quickly, let's change up this title here so that it says edit classified. So back over in our edit template, let's grab this out and just say this will be called edit classified. Alright, so let's check it out. If we refresh, there we go, we've got edit classified showing up. And what you'll probably notice is that we don't have any of our fields populated with data from the classified that we're editing. And again, this goes back to our controllers being separated out now. So what we need is some way to get the data that we want to edit into this form. And so we've already looked at how we can use $emit and $on to send and receive data. But what we'll do now is actually use a feature of UI Router that can let us pass data from one route to the next. So UI Router gives us the ability to send data through URL parameters. And the way that this works is if we head back over to our classifieds controller here, and in our edit classified function, what we can do is pass a second argument here to state go, and this argument can be some URL parameters. And in this case, we'll want an object, and we're going to want to provide an ID. And so we'll see this in a little while, but what's going to happen is we're going to get an ID, which is the ID of the classified that we want to edit. We're going to have it show up in the URL. It's going to be one of the URI segments, and it's going to be the ID of the classified that we're editing. And so for the ID, we'll want that to be our classified.id. And then we also want to pass through the entire classified object that we get when we click the edit button. And so we'll refer to that as classified, and then we will essentially just pass through this classified that comes from the edit classified function to that key. So classified goes there as well. Alright, and so for UI Router's purposes, what we need to do is provide kind of a default for that classified parameter. So below controller here, let's come down and put params. And params will be an object, and to initialize it, what we'll do is say classified is null. So that's going to initialize our classified parameter as null. And so like I said, we want the ID of our classified to be coming through here in the URL whenever we make an edit. And essentially what we'll want is for the end of our URL here to have the ID of the classified that we want to edit. So for instance, if we were editing the classified with an ID of 7, we would just tack it on to the end of the URL like that. And the way that we can handle variables like this with UI Router is we can actually tack them on to the end of the URL property here. So what we can do is we want edit slash, and then we do a colon like this, and we say ID. So this ID, because we've put this colon ahead of it, is going to act like a variable. And this variable is going to be picked up from our controller when we navigate with state_go. So state_go takes this second argument, which is an object, and it has this key ID on it. And this ID is then going to map to our ID here. All right, so let's see if this works out. Let's save this, and let's go over to our classifieds template. So just the base classifieds template here. And let's look for that edit button. So we've got it here, vm.edit classified, and it's sending through the classified that is currently being iterated over, like we've seen before. And so we should then be getting our classified coming through to this function. And we're going to navigate with state_go to the edit state, and we should get our ID coming through and our classified as well. So let's come back over to the browser and let's just refresh this. And let's try one out. So admin, and we'll do edit. And there we go. We get edit/1. If we were to click this one here, let's do edit, we get edit/2. So that works as expected, but again, we're still not getting our data coming through in each of the form fields. And the reason for this is we need to change up our edit classified template just a little bit. So over here in our edit classified template, the issue that we've got is that we don't have VM ahead of our ng model properties here. All right, so let's just put that in quickly. We can go ahead of the classified object on each of these ng models, and let's just put VM. All right, so we'll save that. And then the last thing to do just before this will work is we need to actually grab the classified object from our state params. So here's how we do that. Over here in our edit controller, let's come down here, and the VM classified object is going to be the one on which all of this data sits. And we want to say this is equal to state params.classified. And so that's going to grab the classified object from the state params and put it onto our VM classified, which will come through here. VM classified title and price and so on. All right, let's see if this works out. We'll save this and let's come over and refresh. And if we go to admin and edit, there we go. It's coming through on our form now. All right, so we aren't quite there yet. You'll see if that we tried to make a change to our classified, and then if we tried to save it, nothing is happening. So let's check out what we've got in our template. If we go over to our edit template, the save edit button is the one that we want to use, but right now this save button is coming through. So we just have save there. Let's actually get rid of this button. And let's take this ng if condition off. We want to get rid of that. And let's save that. And then if we come back over and refresh, let's go to admin, edit, and now we have save edit coming through. And what is this save edit function doing? Well, if we go over to our edit controller, you'll see that we've got a save classified function here, but we don't actually have save edit yet. And that's because we copied this over from our new classified controller. So let's do save edit instead. So we'll just get rid of this and do save edit. And then coming down here, let's change this up for save edit. So again, right now we're just kind of faking out the editing. We're not actually editing a classified for real, but rather we're just changing the data on our model, and that is going to serve the purpose of our editing for now. Again, once we get the back end wired up, we'll see how we do editing for real, but right now we just need to kind of fake it. And for that reason, we don't need to actually receive a classified through the function, because we're just essentially going to need to close the sidebar. So we can get rid of all of this. And what we'll do is we'll say VM side nav open equals false. And then what we can do also is use emit again. Remember that we used emit in our new classified controller to send data up to the parent controller. In this case, we can use emit, but we don't actually need to send any data. Rather, we can just say scope emit, and we can say edit saved. and we can just give it a message. We can say edit saved. And this message now can be used in a toast over in our classifieds controller. All right, so let's save that, and let's go over to our classifieds controller, and then just below this existing scope.on, let's do scope.$on again, and this one's going to be looking for edit saved, and in this case, we'll want to take the event and the message that comes through, and what we'll do is we'll just show a toast with that message. So we'll say show toast with the message. All right, so let's save this and let's see if it all works out. We'll refresh here and then let's choose a classified to edit. So we get to our route, but we don't have our sidebar showing up. So there must be an error. So let's see, unexpected token. Okay, so something in the edit classified controller. I see it here. So that's a silly mistake, but we just forgot to put a bracket to end off our function. All right, let's save that. Let's come back over and let's take it back to classifieds and we'll refresh. Now the error goes away and let's go now to admin and we'll do edit. And there we go, it's coming through now. And so if we wanted to change this to a 30-foot equipment trailer, we can do save edit, and there we go, 30-foot equipment trailer. And we get our toast showing up in the corner as well. All right, so it's probably worth reviewing what we just did because that was quite a bit in a quick video. So let's go back over here to our app.js to start off with. We set up another state for our editing, and this time we put a variable at the end of our URL. The variable is denoted here by this colon. So this ID can change, and what happens in effect is we get a different ID coming up every time we click a classified. So if we edit this one, we see we get 1 at the end. If we edit this one, we should be getting 2, and then we'll get the numbers that correspond to the IDs of our other classifieds as well. To get our data from each of the classifieds into our edit classified form, we're using a feature of UI Router that allows us to send data as parameters. And we initialize that here with this parameters key, and we say we want to start out with classified being null. So that classified parameter is just going to be empty to start out with. Then over here in our classifieds controller, what's happening is when we go to edit a classified, this function gets called, and we want to navigate to the classifieds.edit route. And then we pass through an ID, which is going to correspond again to this ID right here. And we want to send through our classified object as well. The classified object here is going to come from our template whenever we go to edit a classified. So again, we're iterating over all of our classifieds. And so when we click edit classified, the current classified gets sent through here. So then we can pick this up over here in our edit controller by using state params. So state params will have this classified object on it because we're passing it through here in our state go. All right, so that was quite a bit of work to get all of the pieces in place for routing in our application, but now we've got a way to navigate between different routes, and we've got a way to keep things modular, having our controllers and our templates broken out by different functionality. So of course, the big thing here is that this whole time we've just been working with local data. We don't have any way to persist it yet. And if we did a new classified up here, what happens is we save it and it gets put onto the screen here, but as soon as we refresh, it goes away. And so again, this is because we just want to get a feel for how Angular works without worrying about how our data gets saved. Of course, for any real application, we're going to need to persist our data. And in the next section, we're going to dive into a service called Firebase, which lets us do this really easily.